we don't want to be doing this all night because I'm sure you want to start partying and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and start while some of you are still eating. How about this weather we're having? I kind of wish we'd have had this in September, because this is kind of weather we needed back then, and we sure lost out pretty bad. And I apologize for the fact that that happened to us, because I wanted to really have a finale race, and it really kind of fell to pieces on us because of the way the weather turned out. As you can see in the schedule that's in this little handout that I have, next year I'm going to look at having the finale race on Labor Day, and we'll still look at having some races afterwards, but that way we'll be sure to have a finale and everybody can make it, because once school starts sometimes some people can't make it, as well as I think the crowd needs to see that also. It needs to have a climax at the end of the season. I want to thank you all for coming here. I think this is a real excellent turnout. When we started out, again, this is one of the problems. We didn't start selling tickets for this until September 1st, and then because all the races went to heck after that, it was hard to get a hold of people and so forth. And I wish there could have been a lot more fans here. I do appreciate the fact that those people that were able to come tonight who weren't getting awards but wanted to be here because they wanted to be a part of this. And I sincerely thank them for coming also. The thing about it is that you folks that are here, and you can see it by looking in this handout, by attendance and so forth, and that, and the amount of races that people went to, that you guys are the backbone of this whole thing. We started out with 7 Strictly stocks at the beginning of the year, and by the time we got to the end of the year, we had approximately, I think, 49 or 50 that had raced there. Maybe they were only there once, but we had that many that at least passed through, and we were getting into B features and so forth. And also on the hobby stocks, we started out about 17, and we ended up with 52 that had raced there. But the backbone of it all, of course, is the people that showed up here tonight. And like I say, we've got people that were willing to come here tonight, even though they weren't in getting some awards and so forth. One of the reasons why I had it here, as opposed to some of the places they've been held in the past, or like last year not having one at all, is because I wanted to try to elevate this racing. It's starting to come of age here in Kansas with this Topeka Heartland Park and so forth, and hopefully that'll help all of us with people being more aware of racing, and we need to get some class in it and so forth. Plaza Speedway, it seems kind of like, and not just Plaza, but any short track, it's kind of like trying to make a silk purse out of sow's ear, so to speak, since it's a dirt track, and it's out in the backwoods, so to speak, and but that's no reason why it can't be upscale and so forth, and we're just the people that have to make it be that way. And I hope that we can start it that way, even with having a banquet in a nice facility like this tonight. I hope that you folks are proud to be here and proud to get these awards, and I hope that I can use this to show the city of Manhattan that we have some power, so to speak, so other people will become aware of it, rather than just having it off somewhere where nobody knows that we're even around. I was asked by a lot of people at the beginning that knew me, because I was a racer. Some of you guys probably don't know that were new this year, but I've been racing over Plaza Speedway since it started. And it was quite hard for me to quit racing and start trying to run it. I wanted to do this since 1982. I'm not sure why. It reminds me of a movie. I love movies also. And one of my favorite movies is The Magnificent Seven. And there's a scene in that one that I always remembered. It's with Steve McQueen, and this guy asked him why he got into this situation where they had to go to Mexico and fight all these bandits down there. And he said, well, he says, one time I was riding along and I saw a fella jumping a pile of cactus. And I asked him why he did it. And he said, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. And I kind of feel that's what happened to me. I definitely jumped into some cactus, and it sure seemed like a good idea. It's stung, yes. Many times. But you guys entertained me all year. Now I'm going to have to try to entertain you guys tonight. I will say this. when I raced, I'm such a nut about racing and I don't know why that either. I guess none of us know why we're that way. I guess I just don't get a lot of excitement out of knocking a ball across a hill and see if it goes in a hole or something. But I am nuts about racing, and when I raced, I didn't usually go sit in the pits and work on my car between races. I was always out watching everybody else and just jumping up and down, screaming just like any other fan would. And so, even though I wasn't racing and that did hurt, I did thoroughly enjoy watching you guys race. I think you guys put on a heck of a show this year. We had a lot of extremely close races, and you know, like I say, I just really enjoyed seeing there was a lot of real good driving, and I think fans really liked it and so forth. The thing that we've got to do to improve Plaza Speedway, of course, is I've got to get the fans increased. And part of the thing that hurt me this last year is when I took over, I was told that they averaged 650 people last year. So I based all my predictions on that, and I had this big goal that I was going to double the crowd. Well, I think most of the people here feel that I doubled the crowd. The only problem is there wasn't 650 people there before, because the most we ever had this year was 649. Now, you guys may not believe that because it looked like a lot of people in the crowd, but it only holds 1,200 people in those stands, and when you kind of spread them out and everything, it looks real good, but there's a lot of holes in there, and probably if you had 1,200 people crammed in there, they'd be in a riot before it was over anyway, because they need to jump around and get excited and so forth. So I did try to buy some more bleachers all year, never was able to do it, and maybe we'll still have some come next year, but of course we're going to have to get more people. And I got so desperate at one point, nobody knew this, I didn't tell Sherry or anybody, but I was going to go out when I had that remote mic, which got repossessed, by the way. It's the first time in my life anything got repossessed, but I had a lot of money problems this year, so I don't know why I stick with this, I guess. But anyway, I was going to go out on the front track and get down on my knees and beg for everybody to bring a friend next week so I could have some more people in the stands. But I've got a different idea. Well, I came up with a different idea. It kind of got messed up because I thought I was going to get Jim Baker to come work for me this year. He's kind of been predisposed, so I can't do much about that. But I did think that I might try to see if we can't get Tammy to be our trophy girl. And not only will we have a real nice trophy girl, but she might be able to bring some money in this place. So anyway, you guys had a real good safety record, although we had some real bad scares. And believe me, when I raced, every night that I raced, I'm not a religious person by any means, but it's the only time I ever prayed in my life, really, I guess. And that was when I raced each race, I would always pray that I would be safe and everybody else would be safe and that we'd all have a good time and so forth. And it put me in a lot different situation when I was up there trying to control this, when I saw some of the accidents that happened. It had me really scared sometimes, and I am very thankful that everybody made it through. You know, we have some people here tonight that we're going to talk to here a little later that came pretty close on some things, and I'm sure happy that everybody's with us, because we sure don't want that to happen. But we did have a good safety record. The insurance people were pleased, which is nice. Hopefully the insurance won't get out of control now because of that. And if I wasn't so tired and broke and getting yelled at all the time, I'd probably have a lot of fun. It kind of reminded me of when I was married. I've tried that twice, but now I do want to say this, and this is the reason why I brought that up. The women that are in this room, my hat's really goes off to you, because I think they deserve a big hand. Because one of the reasons why I'm single right now is that back when I was racing, it's just one of them. There, of course, was other problems, but when I went racing, my wife didn't like it at all. She never went and watched me race. I'd come home with a trophy and I'd set it on the dining room table and she'd dust around it. She never acknowledged that I'd ever got a trophy or anything, and it really hurt. There was a lot of times that I was beat before I went to the track because I wanted to share that experience with her, and I think each one of you guys feel the same way. When you go, you like to know that, you know, she's behind you and that it may scare her a little bit and so forth, but she shares that same thing that you feel, you know, by what you like to do. And so that hurt me. And the only time that she ever came to watch me was, I had a habit of always winning. I'd say always, didn't win them all, but I had a habit of mainly winning the things like when it was Memorial Day or Labor Day or Summer Nationals or something like that. So she decided that one time, I think it was a Memorial Day, she said, well, I'm going to come and watch a race this time. And I got all excited. I thought, oh, great, she's finally getting in with this thing. I said, well, why did you decide to come this time? And she says, well, you always drive harder when there's a bigger trophy, and I just want to see how you get killed because that's probably when it'll happen. So that didn't really set the mood too well. I did win, but she dusted around that trophy too. It didn't matter. But I really do think that the wives here, for putting up with us and supporting us as well, they really deserve a hand for that. And the 6 ladies that signed up on the auxiliary thing, I appreciate that. And I think there's some other women who had talked to me that were fans that aren't here tonight, but they want to get involved and so forth. So I don't know, we'll see if we can't get something together to where that will help increase the program. Speaking of wives and so forth, I found out tonight something kind of nice. Floyd and Loretta Albright, could you stand up, please? I understand that they're having their 32nd anniversary tonight and celebrating it here with us. They have been eminently more successful at marriage than I have been. Now, I hate to talk about Albrights all the time, but there's so many of them you can't help it, I guess. So I'm going to talk about Monty, if he'd stand up, and also Dennis Nelson. Now, these two guys, you don't know why I should talk about both of them, because they're both, you know, they don't run in the same class. They don't, you know, why should I? Well, it just so happens that they're both in high school. I don't know if we had any other guys that drove in high school, but they also were both kings of their homecoming this year. So we've got some pretty classy people here. I do have to say, though, that I went down and watched them at White City. Westmoreland played White City. My son played in that football game, too. I don't know if he got after Monty or not, but those guys, neither one of them know how to get out of the rain because they played in a rainstorm that was unbelievable. And I couldn't believe it was still going on. I'd never seen such a thing. But anyway, they stayed out there and played it, and so I guess that...
How about them Silver Lake Eagles?
How about it? We have one other little thing came out of this. This year we had a beautiful trophy queen that happens to be here again tonight, Katina Lindquist, and I'm going to have her present the trophies again tonight for us as our Plaza Princess. She also, if you stand up, Katina, happened to be the homecoming queen at Westmoreland. So not only do we have a trophy queen, but we have so I'm going to give out, well, before I give them out, I've got some door prizes. I wish they were like microwaves and refrigerators and so forth, but that didn't happen. I sent out over 300 letters to businesses trying to see if I couldn't get some nice door prizes and so forth. And I know I sent out over 300 because I bought $75 worth of stamps, plus I used some more, and I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get more back. But we got a few haircuts, and we got some hats and some t-shirts and so forth. And we also did get some prizes for you guys that won some of your of the champions and so forth, which I'll go into later, and some of that's indicated there on one of the pages in your handout. So I'm going to go ahead and give away with these door prize certificate things that we have as what we have. And we have a young lady that came here tonight that won a door prize already. I think she's sitting right here. Could you come up here? Okay, this is Kendra Upham. And Snyder's Honda, which is right over across the way over here and so forth, he gave us a bunch of things at the beginning of the year for those of you who came to our drivers meeting back in March or so. So he gave us some t-shirts. So we got one here for you. And stay up here. We gotta make this all honest here, see? Want to turn around? He's gonna take a picture. These happen to be child-size T-shirts. So the ones that we give away, hopefully will be the people that have children, or know somebody that does that they can give them to. And why don't you reach in here and pull out one of these tickets? Just anywhere. Oops, there's one. Once you know it, I told you there's a bunch of them in here. Steve Albright. Would you like a Plaza T-shirt or a hat from Snyder's Hunter? Okay, that's the Sport Plaza Speedway. Maybe we need to have him give out trophies. Mike Wishman still here? Nope. Can't get them out to ourselves here. Got another Wickman. Cleet Wickman? Cleet, is that right? K-E-T, I think it is. I guess I call off these numbers here. That might help. Goodness, there must be a bunch of them. Scott Wishman? From Silver Lake. Bjorn Coker. Speaker. Get one, or you got my girlfriend. Okay, one of these instead? Yeah. You gotta get on back now. Okay. I'll get two of them. Before I just pick out another one, I kind of thought when this first started, Carl Brin here. He bought the very first ticket. I think you ought to get a T-shirt for buying the very first ticket. Mike Adams. A big one or a little one? A big one. I don't know. I hope it's big enough. Okay, we still got about 3 more, and then we got some other things here. Roger Harris at Ogden. Kid one or big? Rance Roberts. He gets a little one. I think she's played cards before. She kind of goes through these things like she knows where the aces are at. Ace Adams out of Council Grove. Alice, I'm sorry. Okay, we got some of these. These are gift certificates. I had these printed up at the beginning of the year, and I'd even hoped to have gifts that we could have given out when you guys won prizes. I got so busy trying to build a racetrack over there because I literally ended up having to do that. But I didn't get much done in the way of promoting things this way, so I thought I'd try to use some of these tonight. So we'll go ahead and get rid of some of these here. Jay Query. Now Jay probably needs to... For Jay, with all that hair that he's got on him, we're going to give him a haircut at the Hair Affair in Manhattan. I don't know if that covers the beard or not, but let's try.
Tell me on trim, Jay.
Oren, we had to put all your name on all these, so I don't know if you got anything.
This will do me a lot of good. A haircut?
I don't know. You need a hair? No, I've got a racing cap for
I'll
you.
take a racing cap.
Well, you can go check the competition out, I guess.
I got the hat, Dad.
We can't give it to you. This is Sherry Haywood. She won't take it. Stack the deck. Susan Wood? Deb Query. I don't believe this. This gal's pulling everything out of the same spots here. But you won't get a haircut. We'll give you a cap. For Snyder's Honda. Amazing how all these tickets, how this happens here. Carolyn Sutton. She gets a free haircut and style at the Trippers in Aggieville, Manhattan. Cynthia Hudson. Down to just a couple of racing caps here. Thank you, Cynthia. I don't know. This cheap hat of them. Did you do that on purpose?
Thank you, honey.
There's a little mark on here.
You had sandpaper on that, didn't you?
Mark Pearson.
Mark
Racing hat. Yeah. Okay. We're going to get into handing out these trophies real quickly on this handout thing, though. The reason I went and put this together is I thought it might be kind of fun for you guys to have a chance to look back through and see what happened, and see how things kind of stacked up. And the thing that impressed me so much, which is what I was hoping that would happen this year, if you look at the bottom where it talks about wins and stuff, it lets you know how many races that we ran and how many different winners that we had and the percent chance that there'd be somebody different winning that race. And in some cases, you'll see that in the Hobby Stock Promoter's Choice, out of 12 races, we had 10 different winners, which meant we had 83% chance that somebody else would get a trophy. That was my whole hope that would happen this year, is that we could spread this around a little bit, let everybody that came to the track feel like they had a chance as much as possible. Naturally, there were more people that raced, like I said before. You know, we had, well, for instance, on the hobby stocks again, we had about 52 different cars that were there at one time or another. But out of 52 cars, we had 23 different winners, which is about half of them had a chance of winning something. So I think that that was worked out pretty well. As far as the black flag thing, the only reason I put that in is it definitely doesn't mean that these guys were all bad guys. A lot of times it's because there's something falling off the car or their car was having some other kind of problem. But I thought it was interesting when I went back through, because Susan really worked hard up there in the tower and kept good records and so forth. And we didn't start out checking those kinds of things, but then we thought, well, maybe it'd be a good idea to keep track of that. And I thought it was really interesting. It's probably the most time that flag's ever been flown at Plaza Speedway, even though I was told a lot of times that we didn't fly it enough. I think as many as we did, if we'd done any more, we'd never got any races done. But so that was just kind of something for interest there and so forth. The acknowledgments here on the companies that gave us things and so forth. If you happen to go to any of those companies, I wish you would read through them and see that, because it's very, very important that we start getting places interested in Plaza Speedway, like Harvest Inn wanting to give a free night and so forth. I think that's really important because it shows that we're starting at least to get some people to know that the track is there and get involved in this sort of thing. Maybe we can get some more prizes for you guys, as well as maybe next year when this happens, we'll have twice as many things or 3 times as many things. So be sure to let these companies know that that you appreciate the fact that they're behind you guys racing. The season schedule thing, I just went ahead and put something together last year. I labored over that and worried about who was doing what and so forth. And I decided this year I wasn't going to do it. I was just going to make one. At the beginning it says owners drivers meetings in January, and the only reason I'd done that when I wrote this thing is I thought, well, we're coming up on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it might be kind of tough to do it between now and then. However, I talked with Ed Southall this morning for about 2 hours, who runs the Topeka track, and I'm going to be going down and talking to him on Tuesday, and they're having a drivers meeting next Sunday, I believe it is, or next weekend sometime. I'm going to go to that also. And so if you guys are interested, you can raise your hands or something. But if you'd like to have a meeting within a couple of weeks and see if we can get this squared away and get on with building cars and so forth so you can be ready for next year and not have to worry about the last minute, then that's fine with me. Would you guys like to try to do that? Get your hands up high if you'd like to try to do something here pretty quick. I'll tell you this right now, and this goes to the last thing that's in here, and that is this IMCA deal. And I talked to Ed about it this morning, and I talked to the IMCA people and stuff. What this is it's in there for you to look at and see what you think of it. The only place that they run these right now in Kansas is Waukene, and if Ed's interested in doing something like that, and it works out for everybody, it might elevate this class to where it could really be something. I think that anymore you kind of have to be tied in with something like NASCAR, IMC, if you really want to get some recognition and some prestige to it, you see. And in 2 weeks, on the 25th, I'll be going to Kansas City. The IMCA has their national banquet like we're having tonight, and they crown, like if you happen to be the winner of this, then you go to Kansas City and get a trophy or whatever from the track that you're at, as well as you can go towards points to be the national champion, especially if there's a couple of tracks where you can race at to where you can build up your points faster and so forth. So it's something you can think about, read through it. I'm interested in your comments through the evening afterwards when you're dancing and stuff, if anybody wants to give me any indications how they think. But think about it for this upcoming meeting that we'll have on rules and so forth. Other than that, there's been several people in the mini stocks that were interested in whether they could go to headers, because a lot of those small cars have them. And I understand that Topeka is going to go to headers on both their Strictly Streets and their Charger cars, which is our Strictly Stocks and Hobby Stocks. And so the only change that I know of right now that I can see is that we'll probably just go to headers on everything. The only other 2 things that I can see, other than if we go to something like this, the only other 2 changes that would possibly be would be just ironing out the age-old problem with tires and carburetors. And we'll try to get that ironed out, like I say, in the next week or so that we get that behind us and everybody can get on with building their cars and so forth. So with all that said, if Katina would like to come up, we're going to give some awards away. When the guys come up, if your wife would like to come with you and so forth, feel free, okay? I mean, we don't want to keep anybody out of the pictures because, like I say, they've been behind on this thing, and we sure want to include everybody. First person that we're going to talk about here tonight will be David Carroll. He'd come up here, please. Hey. Yeah, you can do that there, but let's see, I was going to try to get that on camera. Can you see it okay, or it's kind of off the side? David Carroll, the reason he's up here is because he ended up being the mini stock rookie of the year. Came in 6th place. That's why he has a little star next to him. And we'll talk to him again a little later. David, he kind of snuck in there. I don't know that he did you realize you're going to get something like that? Dave, did you realize that you were going to get something like that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, good. What I did is I looked through to see who was in each class that had never raced before, and who got the highest, and he got the highest in that class for a first-time driver, and came in 6th place. And even though he hadn't won one race all year, he did win something here tonight. Ron Jeffcoat, I understand he had emergency leave and had to go home. So there's someone here to receive a trophy for him tonight. Ron was planning on being here and apparently had emergency, and so he wasn't able to make it. So we hope that things will be okay for him. And Ron happened to come in 8th in the strictly stock division. And in our hobby stock division, Randy Hacker. Randy kind of jumped into this thing with both feet for his first year driving, absolutely.
Hey, Randy.
I have some things about him while he's getting it. He won 8 trophies this year, and he was a rookie, and so he ended upside down. We didn't see it here at Plaza Speedway, but now we got that. This is a roast tonight. You thought you were just coming up here. I'm going to roast a few of you, so get ready for this, okay? I got roasted all year, so I'm going to get you guys a little help. His first roll was in Nevada, where he hit the wall and ended up, he didn't let up on the gas, so he just kept on going. And then he was in Pleasanton, and he hit, what did he hit? Hit the rear on the back straightaway, rolled down embankment, landed on his wheels, restarted the car, and finished 4th. Now that's a good racer. All right. I guess he started out with that car. It says they started out with a $15 car, and he raced about 3 days a week. So he was running to Pleasanton and Adrian and here and so forth, Nevada, I guess, whatever. So he was really getting around and put a lot of effort into it. Now we get to start with the other guys that found a way to get on their top at Plaza Speedway, and we'll start with Doug Upham. Doug was the first guy who put my heart in my throat, because when I looked down there, I saw the back end of his car. It looked like it was higher than the fence. So I was pretty shook up over that. And he was got the award of having the first roll over here at Plaza Speedway. I would like to mention that he and his wife came out before the season opened and helped me out there at the track just because they wanted to help us get going. I really appreciated that. The second one we have is Jim Evans out of Council Grove. Now we got a little something to say about Jim Evans. See now Jim, he's about to roll over king here at Plaza Speedway because this is the 3rd one. Now, the thing about it is that when I found out that what happens, Jim is actually our tech man for the track, because every time he wrecked somewhere, whoever had owned the track fixed that part of the track, you see. So all of you know, this year he's still keeping informed because he rolled right off the end of where you go into the pit road, that little drop off right there. So I told the Thompsons that they should fill that in. So they tell me they're going to fill that in. So thank you, Jim, for helping us out there. And I'm sure that if there's any other spots in the track that are a problem, he'll take care of it next year. Let us know where they're at, and we'll get it fixed. The next fellow I'd like to have come up here is Sam Randall. I've got extra big trophy here. I have an extra big trophy here because I think we all have to agree that he had one hell of a roll this year. It was one of the worst rolls I've ever seen. Probably scared me the worst of anything since I've been doing this. And we had a few other ones. Robert Britt had a real bad one back about the first year, and Jim Evans, of course, had a real bad one a couple years ago. And Sam really took a spill, and I'm very happy that he's here with us tonight. I would like to even say one other thing. When I handed out the questionnaires, someone, I won't say who, but there was one questionnaire that came back that said that they felt that Sam wasn't treated properly when he came back to Plaza Speedway, and if you felt that way. This didn't come from him, by the way, but I apologize that happened because I was very happy that you made it and you were back. I think it was really nice that he came back and finished out the year with us. I appreciate it. If we had any other awards for him, it'd probably be that he had the longest record for the longest to get out of his car. And he also, I think we had the most emergency vehicles ever at a racetrack. I don't think Daytona has had that many emergency vehicles. We could have had a good race if we could have got them organized and get them together. Now, I don't know how that happened. I sure didn't blow the whistle. It was unbelievable, but it was something else. Interestingly enough, I talked to Sam on the phone, and it was such a bad thing, and this happens when you're in a bad accident, that you lose track of time and so forth. He didn't realize that he was in there as long as he was. He thought it was just a few minutes. Is that correct? And yet, we were there about an hour and 45 minutes, I believe.
Rang my bell. I was all right before my accident.
Yeah. I think Sam and I, Sam and I are kind of the old ones around here. I remember when I started racing, I used to look at those old guys racing. Now I are one. But I had some bad accidents. I suppose the only reason I'm doing this from brain damage, too. Dennis Nelson, if he could come up. He gets, he went over and rolled in turn 2. He builds his cars. I understand he's building another car already at his high school shop. And he builds a pretty tough roll cage, although he probably got the most relaxed roll that we had this year. Kind of ended up over there, just pushed it back on the wheels and kind of got him back on the track, and there he went. I didn't think you damaged the sheet metal, did you? Car looked pretty good. He just kind of got back in and went. Randy Sutton. Now Randy apparently is confused because he liked it so much the first time he did it that he decided he wanted to try it again, so he did it twice. And I apologize, these cars, the company that I got these from promised me we'd have some upside down cars, and of course this is the way they came. So you'll just have to put it upside down in your manual or something. But Randy blessed us with 2 of them this year, and we're happy that he got through them both okay. Walter Wadsworth. Walter liked it so much he did it twice.
Hey, Sam, take a picture upside down.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But he did his a little very one spread around. He tried turn 2 and turn 4, and and I understand that next year Walter is going to have his own car. He's not going to be driving for Sam, is what I heard. So he's going to roll his own, I guess. We hope not. We really hope not. Now this is the most unusual one. Tracy Smith. Did anybody see Tracy Smith roll? I never knew it happened. Joe never told me. At the end of the year, when I sent out these things about getting back for trophies, it comes back and Tracy says, I rolled. And I never knew he rolled. But he rolled in one of those fiascos. Actually found the same spot that Jim Evans did. He kind of rolled down over that place there in that little hole where you go into the pit, the pit road. I never saw it. We were so worried there were so many cars messed up that time that we didn't know who was where. Joe never told me because apparently Tracy rolled one time several years ago. He's not the only one that just does it once, because I was pitted next to him about 4 or 5 years ago, and that happened to be one of the nights my wife was there, by the way. And he came in there just grinning, and she said, she was all shook up. She said, "You all right?" He goes, "Oh my gosh, I rolled." She just shook her head, you know.
Ask him about the time he rolled his car off his trailer.
We could get into this, didn't we? I don't know about that. I don't know if he wants to tell us. Walter Wadsworth, we're going to start with him on the rest of our trophies here. Walter drove for Sam Baldwin this year. I understand Sam's going to have somebody else in it next year. You going to have that gal driving it next year?
Sure am.
Huh?
She will be there next
So
year.
we'll have her driving against Becky now?
That's right.
Boy, she put on a heck of a show. That's great. So Walt, this is just like NASCAR. You know, these guys move around. Walt's decided he's going to start his own team now. So we got a new driver to give Becky a little company. And speaking of Becky, if she'd come up now, she's next. She got our grandmother. Doesn't look like a grandma with age. Real too young for a grandma.
Learn how to drive a car.
Now when Becky was out there driving at the beginning of the year, it was a little rough, you know. And she talked to me one time, and I said, "Becky," I said, "that car. I mean, you look at the car, and it's different than everybody else. I figured it had to be the car." And Becky says, "No, it's me." She says, "It's me. I'm learning." And I really thought it was the car, but I'll tell you what, once she got it figured out, I think she put on a heck of a show. We can all agree she got about 3 wins under her belt there in the heat races. The only problem, Becky, is that if you'd have gotten 3rd place, then you could have started on the front in the trophy dash, see, and then you could have got the trophy. But he didn't care. She took a win however she got it, and she did a real good job. Craig Towner, we're happy he was able to make it back. He was off with Uncle Sam, I believe, right? And he was able to get back here tonight. We just didn't know he was going to make it. He won a trophy dash. Did a good job. He used to be a motorcycle racer. Was that correct? Is that right? Long time ago? When you get old, you put it on 4 wheels, right? This was his first year also. If it hadn't been for David Carroll, I think Craig would have got Rookie of the Year. But he didn't get to start right at the beginning because he bought a car after things were all pretty much underway. So he did a good job with that. Wyland Petrie. I have an apology to make to Wyland because out of all these trophies, I got shorted 2 trophies. So what I'm going to do is we'll hold one up, let you take a picture with it, and I'll have to get you one. I don't know why they did that, but they did it. So he got shortchanged. Now we'll get David Carroll back up here. Came in 6th in the mini stocks. Just hung in there all year steady and picked up 6th place. Dennis Nelson, one of our rollovers. You'd be able to kiss that trophy girl, too. Randy Sutton, when he turned in his sheet to tell me how he thought about the track this year, he wrote at the bottom, he says, "I had a good time, but I don't know why." I don't know what that meant. I hope it's because he did so well. He had 5 wins and a couple of rollovers. He should have had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other one we missed. We already gave you some anyway. Hold up one for him, and I'll have to get you a trophy. That was the only 2 that we missed, and I apologize for that. I sent it all in on a typed-up sheet, and how they missed it, I don't know.
Hey!
Thank you, Randy. Jimmy Jackson. He came in 3rd. We're going to have to roast him a little bit here. Because I understand Jimmy's getting married next week. But because of this, the only explanation I can have for this is it must be because he was worried about getting married, because he ran out of gas one night. And when they went into the pits, they feverishly worked on the car rather than to check whether the gas was out. And another night, he got all the way to the track, checked in, and as he pulled in the pits, his car fell off the trailer. So he ought to have an award for getting a car to the track without having it tied down. Maybe his get married had him shook up, I don't know.
Rookie of the year.
No, he gets that next year. He's getting married. Uh-oh. Raymond Feist came in second, but he wasn't with us tonight. And so we got up to first place of Mark Pearson. Mark Pearson. I wanted to roast him tonight, but he's just kind of so steady, nobody could figure out anything about him that's funny. No, I talked to Susan. She couldn't think anything funny about him either. Just a minute, Mark. We got one more thing for you. One way to help you win is to have a perfect attendance. And Mark didn't get more race this year, which is one way that helps assure that you're going to pick it up. You got 19 to win.
Hey, Mark.
Okay, in the strictly stock division, 10th place went to Donnie Harold, and he wasn't here tonight, so we go on to Dave Bites. Dave didn't drive the whole year, but he did get enough points to come in 9th, and it's going to be accepted by Jay Queering because Dave ended up having to go to Minnesota and was unable to make it tonight. Dave told me that the biggest mistake he did was trying to move up to hobby stock. He got pretty frustrated at that, so he's going to probably try to drop back down, and I think did he sell that car yet, or is he trying to sell it? He's still trying to sell his hobby stock car, and he's decided that he's more in the price range of those strictly stock, so you guys have to look out because he's going to come after you next year. Ron Jeffcoat, who was the Rookie of the Year, and again, he'll be accepted by his friends if he wasn't able to make it tonight. I understand Ron's building a new car for next year. He drove Dave Bites' old car this year. He got into it, started out with James Ratchery, and they shared cars, and then he decided to get his own and did quite well. Eldon Johnson, 7th place. Eldon was out there, and he took a lot of licks this year, but he stayed right in there and took 7th place. Made most of our races. Eldon Johnson, 0-3. Eldon had 3 heat wins this year. Now we're going to change a little film, but that's okay. Rod Klinkner, he can come up here while they're changing film. We'll roast him a little bit. He did get the strictly stock double night, I guess. Got a championship out of that. But then he also had the dubious distinction to get black flag one night because he kept trying to sneak to the front of that trophy dash. Well, him and number 5, Lyle Shepard, I guess, they were just having a lot of fun, you know, trying to get up to the front and everything. So that was kind of a crazy night. And then, unfortunately, and he was another one of them that we're glad is here tonight. You got pretty totaled out your car or something that one night in a big fiasco. Yeah, and I'm sorry that happened because he was out there a real hard competitor and so forth, and we had a real nasty one, wiped out several cars, and he, of course, was right in the middle of it. He had 7 wins this year, and quite a colorful driver out there, gave us a lot of entertainment. So we appreciate him, and we'll hope he'll be back next year to do it again. Is that car fixable? Is it going to be back, or are you going to build a new one? Got a new one, okay. So, Rock Clinton. While we're waiting for him to get some things changed there. One of the things that we're going to try to do next year, if you look on those on that schedule, I put a lot of this stuff about powder puffs and mechanics races and stuff. I got a lot of requests for that. We'll see how it goes, and a lot of the gals would really like to get into this, so what I think we're going to try to do is to have the powder puffs more organized, have drivers meeting for them. They're going to have to register ahead of time. We we won't have any last minute come in and jump in a car stuff. They'll have to be registered just like the rest of the drivers and so forth, and that way if a gal wants to get into it, she can, but she needs, we just try to get them organized, and then at the end of the year, we'll have trophies and so forth for them as well, so they can be recognized for their efforts. Rod Klingner, you gotta get you back up for a picture here.
Yeah, come on.
Bring a coffee pot back, Donovan. Bring a coffee pot back.
Rick Stahlbomber, 5th place. His wife out of the paper. Rick, our next Enduro driver. I tell you what, for all you folks that didn't come out and see the Enduros, him and Randy Albright just put on a heck of a show those times that we had it. It's real wild men out there. And he had that loose rear end Ford, kept telling me just if he could stick that back end of it down, he'd really get her going. He told me one night, he even admitted, I'll say one thing about Rick, which was kind of nice. He even admitted to me one night, he said he should have been black flagged. He says, I got a little bit wild out there, and he got a little bit upset. And that was kind of nice that he'd say that, at least admit that he stepped over, because we all do that occasionally. The next one, Randy Herder, 4th in the Strictly Stocks. Randy out of Manhattan. Randy also got to get into that big wreck we had on the back. His car got hit from the front and the back and everywhere. He broke the transmission in half, I understand, but he got her back together and kept out. Had a very stock car, extremely stock. I got to go and drive it one time. Not racing, of course, but it was a lot of fun to get out there and do it. Next one we got up here, 3rd place, our Phantom rollover, Tracy Smith. Always exciting finishes, always up there, having a good time, always in good spirits. We have a Mr. Congeniality Award. It'd probably have to go to Tracy Smith. Second place now goes to Monty Albright. Monty, through the years, counting trophy dashes and heat wins and so forth, was the second winningest driver and had the highest point average. And he's out of this American Motors Racing family, which is kind of neat to have a different kind of car out there. And, oh, Monty. I knew I'd forget something. I'm going to have to call a couple people back up here, but I can go ahead and at least get started with him, if I can find it. He thinks he's getting a big award. This is the plate for that trophy you won on the 16th that you didn't get across the bottom.
I don't look good.
So the champion in this strictly stock division is Wayne Baldwin. They also received some awards that said here. I think Wayne really deserves a hand because he not only had the race, but he jumped back and forth and gave us quite an effort in that record truck. Probably all that jump back and forth is what made him so skinny, because he's had to work his tail out out there. But I did see Wayne one time. He was so busy in trying to get back into a race that he drove back out on the track with a tire underneath his car. And another time he got stuck in the mud, but he couldn't get his own record truck to pull him out. So he had a heck of a time.
Donovan, what about the one trophy dash I missed because I was hooked up to a car in the pit?
Well, that's right. He put in a lot of effort, and he did have, I tell you what, when he was out there pulling the rest of you guys in all the time, it didn't give him much time to work on his car. So for him to be able to pull off a feat like that and have to work out there at the same time, I think is quite an effort. And we'd like to also recognize his mom in the back there who came all the way from Dallas, Texas to get this on video. Randy Albright. 10th in the hot dog balloon. Randy probably done a little better, except he had 3 blown engines first part of the year and kept having problems. And he had to jump into other cars and so forth, and had kind of a tough year, but he filled out. He's the Mopar guy in a American Motors family, I think. Roger Bennett. Roger Bennett, one of the guys in racing Plaza, probably since it opened up. I got something I got to embarrass myself with on this, and Susan would vouch for it. I've been racing against Roger for years, and for some reason I could never remember his name. I'd be up there and I'd be calling off numbers, and then it was time for Roger, and I'd be going, Susan, who is that guy? And I to this day, I don't know why I have that. There are certain people in my life that for some reason I can't get that name in there, and like I say, I've driven against him for years. He also deserves the Hard Luck Award, because he had lots of problems and he still was able to stick it out. He came out one time, he had a new engine in his car, and on one of our practice sessions at night, he came out, tested it, sounded good. I was out there on the motor grader, and he came zooming by me and everything, and sounded good. Came out the very weekend there to race it, blew it right to pieces. So he had a real tough time, and we wish him better luck next year. Rance Roberts, number 8. Rance Roberts, this guy came all the way from Lecompton, which is clear east of Topeka. Got it right that time, right? And when he first came down, it was a big controversy and stuff, and I called him up, and he says, hey, he says, I never had such a good time. He says, I just want to race. He says, I wasn't trying to do anything, and fixed his car up, and he just wanted to come back and have a good time. He says, I never did that good in Topeka. He was quite surprised. And I understand you're building IMCA. Is that modified, or are you going to? So you're going to leave us and go run them now, or? Maybe we can run a couple races here and get you back. Huh? Well, maybe you can come back. We hope so. Dan Scobie, all the way from Emporia, Kansas, 7th place. Had you raced before, Dan, or was this?
Second year.
Second year? Dan, I think, weren't you the first guy to buy those McCrary tires?
You're right.
First guy to buy them, he went out there on the practice day. Didn't have his fender wells cut wide enough, and rubbed one off out on practice day and tore it all to pieces. That was an expensive day for him. He always ran up front, but kind of ran into problems, but he stuck it out, got a feature win there at the end. We sure hope you had a good time. Dan Scobie. Randy Payne out of Topeka, Kansas. This is Randy.
My car over, guys.
Randy also. Randy and Roger Bennett both, I think they belong to that hard luck case. He went through lots of motors, ended up finding out that he had was a cracked intake manifold or something.
Cracked intake manifold, guys.
Lost how many engines over that? 4 engines out of a little crack like that. Always ran up front, gave us some real good races. One time he scared me. He got sandwiched in between a couple of cars, knocked him around, knocked his breath out, and he got out, and I didn't know if he was going to make it or not. Scared me half to death. But the biggest thing is that he probably has the dubious distinction of being the only person that could blow the engine up on his race car and then blow the engine up on his hauler, so that somebody had to tow him all the way back to Topeka one night. That's really a hard luck case. The next two did not make it tonight. Don Straley came in 5th, and Rusty Rice came in 4th. And next we go to Mike Durham out of Leonardville. Mike was one of the fellows that also had perfect attendance. He was always the first person at the racetrack, and he was the first person here tonight. Unbelievable. This is not an award. This is the fuses that you gave me one night. One night when we had our PA system went out, and I was up there and we had a fuse that went out, and I was all shook and worried how I was going to do it. And he came to my rescue and brought me some fuses, so I didn't forget about it. Second in points in the hobby stock division, David Brenn out of Junction City, Kansas. Might have got up there a little higher, except he got T-boned in turn 1 and 2 and put him out for a couple of races. And David tells me that this is his last year racing. He's going to be building roll cages and race cars and so forth, so if any of you need some help that way, because I know sometimes it's tough, go see that man. Because he wants to stay in racing, but he wants to get into the building end of it, and we sure need somebody like that in this area to help the rest of you out. And our champion in that hobby stock division is Randy Hacker. Randy came out here his first year racing, and he got out there and just flew around there. I had to settle him down a couple of times, and he got out of first by mid-season. I went to Rusty Rice. He stuck it out. He went through the deal one night, he had disqualification and so forth, but he stuck it out. And one of the things I really thought was neat about that hobby stock division, because everybody got a chance to win out there, and he was able to pull it off with 3 wins. As you can see, there was no more than 3 feature wins in that class, so it got out to everybody. I keep forgetting to give these out. This is for Randy also. He's got a, here's another one. Got a couple of them here.
More free stuff?
More free stuff. I'm going to have to call some of you back up here. I forgot to give some of this away.
Food?
We have a couple of the late model fellows here. We tried all year long to see if we could get that off the ground, and it just never seemed to work. But there was 2 of them that really tried to make it work. First one, Bjorn Coker, who out of Silver Lake. One of the nicest fellows to ever race our track, and he just tells me he just loves to race. Just an excellent person. And he just kept showing up, and it pays off. You just got to keep showing up, and you'll get up there, right?
Yeah, I started this when I was 15 years old. And I hate to say what I am right now. He's telling me I'm older than what I am, but I'm not. I am 49 years old. And I'm still going to run next. Old man, Oren. And I'm still going to run next year. I bought a new car, so I'm going to run if you run.
Okay. That's an inspiration to all of us.
Scott over there. They was all done for the year. So anyway, I got Scott in the doghouse. And they come by the house there and they need the motors. They're running through the last race. So I said, well, okay, come on. I give them a motor to run so I can run the last race with you. Now I got Scott in the doghouse. I take the doghouse to his wife. You know how it is when you go racing.
Gotta race, right?
Gotta race.
If there's a race somewhere, you gotta go to it. And last but not least, the fellow that gave us all quite a show this year, Steve Fuqua of Mayotte, Kansas. Steve not only burned up the track, he burned himself one night. We had to send him off to the hospital and so forth. But when we tried to work this thing around and tried some other late models and stuff, he said, that's fine. He took all the comers. He never once complained about it. He says, whoever wants to come here and race, I'm ready to race them. Never complained. And he was just a super person to come out there and overcome all those conditions. First of all, to Wayne Baldwin, if you'd come up. I got a plaque here for him for outstanding record service for helping us all out this year. Roger Bennett, you and whatever other people for the I-70 Amico. We couldn't do it without the help of these fellas. run a racetrack without some guys out there to take care of you when you're in trouble. And these guys sure made a heck of an effort. There's Mike Packer here. Mike Packer from Riverside. There we go, right down here in front. Push truck crew.
Surprise, surprise.
These guys really worked hard. I just thought that they deserve a little recognition tonight here for all of them. Now, most of you, probably almost all of you, don't know this person, but I've got a plaque here that he unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. But you guys have no idea the problems I had with trying to get some water for that track. Not only the track, but one night at 5:30, when people are coming in the gate already and so forth, the well for all the toilets and everything went bad on us. And Craig Halverman Well Drilling was out there in half an hour, changed that well and so forth so we could get through that night. And he also got me a pump for the other well, because the one that we had was junk that came with the place. And he also drilled another well for us, and he's right now trying to find a pump for next year so that we'll have 2 wells to get water from. This guy has really been supporting the track, was out there all the time watching you guys. He's interested even kicking in some money. I can say this because his wife isn't here tonight, but he wanted the late models there so bad he said he'd kick in some money if we didn't tell her to try to get you guys to put on a big show and so forth. But if any of you that are around here that need some well service and so forth, this guy is one super person. He really got me through the year. Now I still got to hand these things out. I want to get rid of these real quick. This is for David Carroll and Ron Jeffcoat. What they got is in the program, of course. I don't want to go back and look for it. But they did get this. They got things like pizza from Pizza Hut, and they got different things from different places. And if you read it in there, it's a start. Each one of these guys that got the feature win, got the championship, by the way, in all 4 classes, got a $50 on an engine balance job at Performance Machine. He's seen it yet, but if Randy Hacker can't make it back tonight, you can always stop over to Harvest Inn. Did you see that, or did I still have it here? You got that, didn't you? He's got a free stay for him and his wife at the Harvest Inn over in Junction City. So that was real nice for him. And Wayne Kufall from right here in Manhattan, in fact, it's right over here, Wayne's Quick Lube. They gave us a free oil change and lube and so forth for the Strictly Stock Points champion for another Wayne. And Burnett Automotive, they got a case of oil that goes to Mark Pearson. Pizza Hut, they gave away a free pizza to Randy Hacker, so he's going to have to come back to Manhattan and eat pizza, I guess. That should be in that thing. Do we give it to him? Is that his? Okay. These are Mark Pearson's here. These are the ones for him. Tracy, I got a deal for you here. This is just this isn't an award. This is just that plate for that trophy, and then there's a little message in there for you. You can talk to me about it. Okay, I wanted to do one more thing. I want to recognize the people up here. Don Kraft, our flagman. Buzz Bruce. Our man in the pit. These guys, I tell you what, the thing about it, and I'm going to talk about these 2 we have over here as well. Susan Kramer, who was our super scorer up there, believe me. If any of you think that isn't a tough job, you ought to come up there and see. I got to say one thing. Next year, I'm going to get tough on this because it isn't fair for you guys got to do something with those numbers. Sherry came up there one time and she was going to help Susan. She said, "To heck with this." She just turned around and said, "I don't know what's going on." But Susan got to where she could tell by color of car or something who was going by what. But it really is tough from up there seeing you guys come flying through, especially when it's in a bunch. So we got to get some numbers on those cars. She did a super job. And Joe Jones trying to run around and keep everybody safe. Now, one thing I'd like to mention on that, we had some comments that we needed more policing and so forth and that, but I'll tell you what, with the amount of cars that we had, we'd need 5 or 6 guys running around doing it. Joe, that's the first time that I know that the track ever had anybody doing it, and I think he made a good effort to try to keep things straight. And I think if you look at the winds and stuff and that, the way it got spread out so much, I think it kept pretty straight on that. So these people, the one thing that I'm really appreciative about it is the fact that it's pretty tough for me, especially with the rest of the employees that I had, to make sure I had people there every week. But these people were there every week and taking care of us. And there's one of them that's very special to me, and I got her award, Sherry Haywood.
Yeah.
It says on here, special thanks to Sherry Haywood for her. It's hard, it's bad lighting, man. We'll try this again. I tell you what, see, the trouble is when I was in the tower and all that noise was going on, you guys couldn't hear what I was saying. Here I get caught. I usually have a 6-pack before I did there too. Right? The only way I could handle it. It says to Sherry Haywood, special thanks for dedicated service and hard work for Plaza Speedway in the 1989 racing season. She really did a hard job for us. That certainly isn't a takeaway from any of these other people up here because they all put in a heck of an effort. But I'll tell you what, when I first took this track, Sherry and I go back a long ways because she used to work for John Landis when this track was built, for those of you that weren't around here that long. And the thing about it is probably all of us, including myself, I've got a number you probably like to get me by the neck and so forth. And then John Landis went through the same thing, Thompson did also, and so forth. But the thing is that I look back on it like when Landis had it, and if he had built the track, we never would have had one. He went bankrupt doing it. Sherry was with him all the way, and he really went downhill over it. But you know, last week his wife called and wanted to know how our banquet went. They live where, Michigan or something? Atlanta, Georgia. So all summer long, periodically, they have called to see how the track is going. The guy liked racing so much, and it's still kind of his baby, that he's still checking up on us. And Sherry worked with him and helped him when he built the thing, and when I said I was going to take it over and so forth, she came to my rescue, believe me, and couldn't have done it without her. And I sure do appreciate she came back to help me out. Yes, well, I hope. If not, I hope I have all of them back next year.
I tell you what, that's the best thing when you drive and see Sherry. When she comes out, everything's ready.
That's right. Absolutely. She took care of me at the beginning of the year. I was really in trouble, and she took an extra load off of me and so forth. Katina, thank you very much. I just have a couple last things to say.
Hey, Donovan.
Yes.
Hey, Evans has got a letter from another gal that took care of you, too.
Yeah, we got.
No.
Remember Daytona, don't you?
This has something to do with chickens.
Yeah, we got it in the mail. We was down at Daytona a couple of years ago. She wrote me. Well, she wrote you a letter. And you got to read it here. I got to read it. Yeah. No, you read this letter.
You read it. You messed it up.
This is a setup.
Now, he come running to us over there at Daytona.
Well, what happened? I don't know much to say. It was really kind of interesting. I've been to Daytona several years. To me, I'll tell you what, if any of you ever have the chance to go there and see that race, it is just unbelievable. I mean,
Which is best, the race or the chicken feather?
I don't know if I can read it. I have a girlfriend in the crowd. I'll read this first and see what I can. Anyway, let's see what it says. It says, Dear Lover Boy, I couldn't make it here tonight, but I wanted you to have this special crown and necklace as a reminder of our tickling good time at Daytona. Daytona Beach. I hope you enjoyed our feathered sex games as much as I did. This is.
She likes racing.
Say what?
She likes racing.
Yeah. You know, this is. I was going to have a race. I have to see if you guys want to do this. I was going to have a race this year with the Strictly Stalkers, where they had to race around with a rooster in their arms, and whoever would finish the race without was still holding on the chicken without killing it would win. But I was afraid that the Humane Society would get after me, so I didn't try it. It says, I know there was nothing chicken about you. I hope you're fully recovered. I'm looking forward to another Speed Week with you. You're really something to crow about. But next time, lover boy, don't play so hard to get. Love forever yours, Brazilian Banty. This must make me the chief now. I got control. I don't know if I just lost my credibility or what. I can just see, I might wear this when I come down and say, we're going to enforce some rules, guys. I might have some fun with this. The only other thing because I'm an Indian. I go out there. I don't know if our DJ has music for a while. I'm gonna dance now.
It's opening weekend.
Oh. I'm glad I did get shot this year. I think there's a couple times I came close to it. As long as we're talking about that, I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I love racing as much as you guys. I tried to be impartial, although sometimes maybe it didn't look so. Sometimes I made mistakes, and especially my first year and so forth. But I did find out one thing that I was kind of naive about, and that is that anytime you make a decision, if you make one guy happy, you make the other guy mad. So no matter what I do, I'm always in trouble. But I did try to be impartial and so forth. They say you learn from your mistakes, and I don't know if it was, but I guess I did learn very well because I am going to try to run it next year. And thank you. I hope that'll be okay. I'll just do my best, as we all tried to this year. When I took the track, like I say, it was supposed to be race ready and everything, and I never, ever in my life worked as hard as I did this last summer. I sure hope I don't have to do it next year if I get Lauren Petrie to take over taking care of that track. I don't know if he will or not, but I got to find somebody because I can't keep up with it and try to do the rest of the things. Because I really felt bad that I wasn't able to do some other nice things for the track, but I was so busy trying to fix everything out there all the time. And I think Lawrence will admit to that because he told me that when he was fixing the track previous to me taking it over, he spent more time fixing the equipment than he did getting the track ready. And if you ever noticed off of turn one how the equipment kept piling up down there, that's kind of what I ran into. And I had to end up buying my own grader because the other grader went bad, and I had to buy a water truck and just on and on. Bought well pumps and so forth, and it was just really a disaster for me. So hopefully the worst is over, and next year things will go much better. I think that's all I have. You guys, if anybody has anything else, any more feathers or, so forth, if not, we'll let the music begin. I hope you all had a real good time. I hope you're looking forward to next year. I'll try to get in touch with you right away here in a week about a driver's meeting and so forth, so we can get that squared away. And thank you all very, very much for coming out here, as well as all of your own. You know, some of you guys in the drivers' meetings had to listen to me sometimes talk to you about people yelling at me, and I sat down with Sherry here about a week ago. She came over, and we looked down at, and honestly, we only found a couple of people that seemed like it was everybody, but there was only a couple of people that really gave me trouble. You guys have all been really super, and I thank you very much.
Let's give Donovan a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll tell you what, I hope for all the drivers out here and everything else, when you come to the pits next year, I give you the thumbs up and kick you in the ass and get you out on the deal.
I'd like to say one thing. I come here every week to run at Plaza Speedway, and Buzz was always back there helping me whenever I wasn't around. The man was always around, coming hunting me down, get my ass in gear, as he always said, to run. I want to thank these guys for a hell of a job they've done. You know, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have no racing around here. So let's support next year all we can.
One last thing, I was just told that some of you folks are worried about this Fort Riley expansion thing and whether it affects the track. I honestly don't know anything about it. I can't imagine why they'd want it, because I don't know what that land's good for anyway. But I have heard nothing about it. I'll try to find out something, and you know, in the next week or so, and then a driver's meeting or whatever, I'll get a newsletter out or something to let you know. But I don't know anything about it. I don't even know what area they're going, but I don't think they're interested in that because it's not out where they're gonna, you know, where they'd really like to go. I would think out in the country somewhere to run their tanks around and so forth. It's really kind of off in a pocket there. So I don't think we have a problem with that. Jim Boxterman, are you here tonight? I apologize. I didn't. You rolled. We got you in the deal. I know that. I didn't realize that you were coming tonight, and I apologize for that. You'll get a trophy too. We'll get one out to you. Jim Boxterman, one of our other heroes that rolled earlier. One last thing. Like I say, these people up here are really super, and I sure hope they'll all come back and help me out next year. Tell them to do it.
I got hung into it several times. I'll go out there.